Okay, I'm going to add another acting lesson for real life. And it's just basically this sentence. A bad director gets in the way of a good actor. It's just like if you're at, a typical business. You've heard the term micromanaging. It's when the boss hovers over you, like, looking over your shoulder to see what you're writing, uh, just, constantly breathing on you. You can hear their breathing, they can smell their coffee breath, you can smell their BO. They are in your personal space. And what does it do if you're working there? You're probably going to quit because, your personal space is being invaded by a loser. If you've got a director in movie making who is doing the same thing, every time you get into the flow of the scene with your other actors, or if you're, a single actor like me as a storyteller, um, and you have the same thing going on, the director is so close you can hear them breathing. The director's breathing is louder than yours, and the director has got a permanent postnasal drip. Do you know what that is? It's like they got stuffy nose, and every time you breathe in, you hear them have a stuffy nose. Edgar, the person from stagecraft that sometimes I call the loosh demon, sometimes he goes, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus. Sometimes he calls me Beeson. He's got all these stupid names. Edgar is a poor director. Now, our producer of the reality game is Bob Frizzell. Now, Bob Frizzell usually doesn't know anything about movie making other than the fact that if he's not happy with the scene, he calls for casting, in which basically he just goes, casting, and Bob takes whatever comes. Okay? Edgar, as the director, what does Edgar do? He breathes down the neck of the actor. And Edgar is not trained in movie making. Edgar is trained in Monsters, Inc. because he's a bit of a monster. And he likes to pretend he's a monster. And he's very good at it. Sometimes I do believe he is a monster, but he is really trying to become a movie director. So if you are someone who is involved in somehow doing video blogging, YouTubing, anything like that, what does it mean? You need to give your actor, your storyteller, the host of your program, and the guests a lot of room. If you're going to direct them, you can tell them, okay, this is the housekeeping issue. In other words, when you get here, and this is wherever the set is, over there is the men's room. Over there is the female room, and the ones in between, the transgender or whatever, or, the other two are full. That's that one over there. And mine is in the back, and if you use it, make sure that you don't leave a mess. What else should a director do with actors? Um, well, the director could, before the scene is shot, could give some points about what he wants to happen in the scene. In other words, might be a scene where we're going to be traveling in a car, and we're going to be traveling for 20 minutes, and we're going to be starting off in someone's backyard, and we're going to get in the car, and then we're going to drive, and we're going to end up at the shopping mall. The scene ends when you get out of the car at the shopping mall parking lot. That's what I'm going to call cut. So it's a long scene. Well, the things I want you to do in the meantime, I want you to talk about at least these 3 points. I want you to talk about Donald Trump. I want you to talk about Jordan Peterson. And I want you to talk about our sponsor, McDonald's. And anything else that you talk about. This is a G-rated film. It's for adults and children, so don't use profanity. What else? Um, be aware that this is a sponsored program and it should not reflect badly on McDonald's. In other words, don't go to McDonald's on the way, buy some food, and then spit it up into a bag. Our sponsor, McDonald's, will never sponsor us again, which means I won't get any money to do any more films, and I will never hire you again. In fact, I will blacklist you. I will tell everyone else in the movie business what you did, and you will never get work again in this town or anywhere else on the planet. In other words, have some common courtesy, and knowing that McDonald's is our sponsor, make sure that they're, promoted in a good light. Unless you unless you have an agreement with McDonald's that's spelled out in writing, it's been reviewed by 10 lawyers, and it says McDonald's wants a spoof of McDonald's. And it has to be like the title of the scene, signed off by the CEO of McDonald's, that says, and maybe it needs to be signed off by all the shareholders too, because it's very dangerous to do spoofs of someone's brand. You can do that on Saturday Night Live, but they're going to change the name to what would they use? It's very difficult because they want to give you an idea that it's McDonald's, but they don't want to say anything to do with McDonald's in the spoof. So you couldn't say billions of burgers or millions of burgers sold. You could say a hamburger chain. You could say a hamburger chain. This is a spoof of a hamburger chain. And then you could do a spoof and try not to use anything at all that resembles the logos of McDonald's. Because anything that's at all resembles McDonald's, the Golden Arches, or any of the characters from the old days when they did cartoons, anything at all that looks like that, and you're going to run into hot water if it's something you've made professionally and it's going to be distributed on, major media. What about on YouTube? Well, do you have more leeway? I don't know. The rules keep changing. But the point of the matter is, that's what the director's job is, to tell you the things he wants you to do, what you're going to be doing, and points to remember are, the do's and the don'ts. And in the end, then the director should perhaps let the actors go through a rehearsal, if you got time, and do a rehearsal. I don't know how many times you want to do it. Maybe the director wants to watch and say, I kind of like this third version of it, but the very end of the first one I liked. And you're going to go, I can't remember all that. But then you're going to let them shoot. Now, if the director decides to be a micromanager, you're going to have a hard time as an actor, because maybe the director is going to insist that you're wearing one of those earpieces in here so he can talk to you while you're acting. Don't do that. If you're a director and you're telling your actors to wear some kind of an earpiece so that you can get hints from Heloise, in other words, the director, don't work for that director. You cannot focus on your acting partner and what you're doing and have someone talking in your ear. You can't. It's too much information, and the director is going to ruin the shoot and it's going to drive you insane. So anyway, that's what I tell Edgar, because that's what Edgar does. He constantly talks to me in the middle of me telling a story, and I can hear him breathing. So, and he doesn't tell me what he really wants. So he's not even a director. He's just not even a stand-in. I don't want him around my set. Now, what else can I tell you? That's enough for now.